Hi everybody, welcome. Today we are going to be talking about frugal ground beef recipes, and I think we have some really great ones in the lineup.
We sure do, and you're not going to believe how inexpensively we are able to make all 7 of these family size meals. I think it works out to 34 servings.
Okay.
So if you were making individual meals, you could have a month's worth, although maybe change it up. I don't know if you want to eat ground
beef every day for a month. Do you know what? There are people out there that will eat ground beef every day for a month. So maybe this video is for you. So congratulations.
Every single serving, every single meal, feed your family for an entire week, 7 days again with the ground beef. But anyway, less than $50.
And that's Canadian dollars, folks. So if you are in the States, just start the car.
Definitely groceries in most states are less expensive than they are here in Canada where we live. So if we can make all of these for under $50, you can totally do this too. The key, of course, was that ground beef was on sale. Surprise, surprise.
That is the magic of being in the Freezer Meals 101 Club. If you see the sale, you can go to the club, pick your filter for ground beef, and bam, there's all of our ground beef recipes there, and you can go to town.
That is exactly what we did to choose the recipes that we are sharing with you today. And I priced out every other ingredient, and I chose the sweet and sour meatballs one because cans of pineapple were also on sale.
Oh, that's so smart.
And bacon was on sale, so one of them has bacon in it as well. And it's doable to do meatless meals for under $50 for a week, but to feed an entire family meals with meat, and in some cases, multiple kinds of meat, for under $50 for a week is pretty darn amazing. It's something to celebrate.
It really is.
Let's get started with our first recipe, which is those sweet and sour meatballs from scratch.
Yes. In a medium bowl, we are going to add some lean ground beef. We're going to add in some graham cracker crumbs, some minced onion, a bit of dry onion soup mix, some pepper, an egg, a little bit of evaporated milk, and then we are going to mix that around really, really well. We're going to make them into little balls. We can either use a little scoop, or you can eyeball it, or you can use a spoon. What I like to do sometimes, if I don't have a scoop, is to use a 1/4 cup measuring cup and fill that, and then divide that into 2, because that will make 2 tablespoon meatballs, and they will have very consistently sized meatballs. We're going to put those onto our sheet pan and get them into the oven. We're going to cook them at 350 for about 25 minutes and then let them cool. Then we're going to add them into our freezer bag. We're going to also add in some pineapple chunks from a can that's been drained, sliced green pepper, some brown sugar, a bit of cornstarch, some vinegar, and some soy sauce. We're going to mix that around right in the bag and get all of that extra air out, because when you're making freezer meals, air is the enemy, and that is what's going to cause you freezer burn down the road. We're going to seal it up and get it into our freezer. When you go to cook these, you're going to allow them to thaw. You can do them in the slow cooker, a couple of hours on low, or in your oven in a casserole dish covered for about an hour at 350. You can serve this with rice. You can make an extra stir fry to go with it, but you already have the vegetables in here, so you don't even need to. It is dynamite, and the flavor is just really refreshing, and it's different. Okay, if you're in the club, you will notice that there is a sheet pan sweet and sour meatballs, and this is the one that's not the sheet pan, so it's different, and totally different, because the other one calls for pre-cooked meatballs. This is one of the few meatball recipes that we have that actually calls for a make your own meatball, and they're so good.
This is one that my kids really like, and like Christy said, it's nice because you've got the vegetables and fruit right in there. So
you do, you have fruit in this one.
So you just throw some rice or noodles on and you've got your full meal. This next one is our Salisbury steak. It is a newer to us recipe. We made it in our last mega session. For those of you who are new to our channel, Christy and I are neighbors and besties, and once every 3 months for the last over 12 years, we have been getting together to make both of our families' meals to last us for the next 3 months. So our last mega session, I will pop the video for that right there. And in that session, we made 156 freezer meals. Yes.
It was a record.
It was a marathon, really fun, and we were able to stack both of our freezers, 2 freezers each, in fact.
Yes, we did.
And this Salisbury steak was one of the recipes that we made in that. I have to say, my family is like a yes for this one. My daughter especially, who is my most picky,
She's your carnivore.
Yes. And she was like a big yes on this. We had it the other night, and my husband had seconds, so he's a yes on this as well. This one is definitely one we will be making again and again. We had been meaning to make it for a while.
For a long time, and I'm glad that we finally did it.
Now, the last recipe that we did was using raw ground beef, and the Salisbury steak starts that way as well. And the reason that we're doing our raw ground beef ones first is that when we're doing big sessions of freezer meals, we always batch things so that we're doing the same protein at once. In this case, I mean, they're all ground beef, but if we do the raw ground beef first and then the cooked ground beef, you're just gonna miss that cross-contamination possibility, and also you're gonna make things faster because you can prep by cooking all your ground beef at once, and you can use that, have it out, and assemble all your cooked ground beef meals at once and get these raw ground beef meals out of the way first. It's always the order that we do it in.
It always is. It really works though.
So for these, you're gonna have your raw ground beef, and you're gonna mix that together in a bowl with some panko breadcrumbs, minced garlic. We use our garlic from a jar just to save some extra time. Italian seasoning, an egg that's slightly beaten, ketchup, Dijon mustard, Worcestershire sauce, salt, and pepper. Then once that's mixed together well, you're going to form it into 4 oval patties that are about 3/4 of an inch thick each. And then in some olive oil over medium-high heat in a deep skillet, you're going to cook those for 4 to 5 minutes on each side. And then you're gonna place these down into a foil cake pan and let them cool. In another bowl, while those are cooling, you're gonna mix together some cans of mushroom soup, evaporated milk, pepper, and beef bouillon. You're going to pour that over your cooled Salisbury steaks, and then you're going to cover this with foil and freeze it. On the day you go to make this, you thaw it, and you can bake it in the oven for about half an hour, or you can just reheat those steaks and sauce in a skillet. When I did mine the other night, I just did it in a skillet, and they were ready really fast.
Yes.
I would say 7 to 10 minutes. And
oh, that's awesome. When I made mine, I did mine in the oven, and it says 30 to 40 minutes. I did 30 minutes, and it was still had time to go in my oven. I threw it back in for about another 10 or 15 minutes, and then it was perfect.
Nice. So now we're gonna move on to our cooked, oh, I've been forgetting to tell you how much these cost. Oops.
Oops.
It's a Frugal video, I'm sorry. Okay, we've only missed 2, so I'm just gonna recap on those 2 and then we'll move forward. Okay, blooper in action. So the sweet and sour meatballs work out to $6.30, and it's 4 servings, so that's $1.58 per serving, including your vegetables and fruit.
And your fruit. And then really on top of that, you're only adding rice, which is
20 cents.
Right? It's very inexpensive. So, wow, that is actually really, really frugal.
Totally.
Well done.
And then for the Salisbury steak, you are going to, this is an expensive one, at $7.23. And it's only 4 servings, so it's $1.80 per serving.
It's the evaporated milk. It has just gone up and up.
It is. I had to factor in everything.
Right.
So, but there you go.
Who knew that the evaporated milk would be what would sink us on that recipe, right? Like, for cost, like flavor is great. Isn't that funny?
Okay, so these next ones, we're moving on to our cooked ground beef. Just wanted to tell you again, like I said before, you're going to want to prep things ahead. So if you're making like all ground beef recipes, because ground beef was on sale, then you're going to want to cook a whole bunch of your ground beef at once. And the way that we do that is we line cookie sheets with foil, put your ground beef on there. We take a mix and chop and just break it up, put it in the oven, and then about halfway through, take it out and again, run your mix and chop through it to break it up some more, drain it at that point if you need to, put it back in the oven to finish cooking. You can also season it with salt and pepper if you like, and then you're going to allow it to cool, put it in your fridge, because you're going to do this the day before.
Yes, you are, because if you are making this many recipes, to do your prep one day and to do the assembly the next day is our probably most prudent tip for you, really, because you do want to space it out a little bit, and it's just nice to break up that time.
It's just super fast and easy to throw all these together when everything's prepped, and then just like how next week you is going to thank today you for putting the meals together, the assembly day you is going to thank the prep day you for doing that prep the day before.
I have often compared making freezer meals to painting. I am a domestic type person that likes to do it yourself, and I have always appreciated all of the work that goes into prep. Painting is 90% prep. You are cleaning your walls, you're filling holes, you're sanding, you're patching, you're repairing. Then sometimes you're taping if you need to. You have to put sheets down, you have to mix your paint, you have to do all these things, and you have to get your tools ready so that when you're ready to go, the painting is really only 10% of it. So it is like that with freezer meals. Get all of your stuff ready to go so that when you go to assemble, it's just and it is done.
And it makes it a lot more fun.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does.
Okay, so the first cooked ground beef meal we're gonna make is Cathy's Lazy Rouladen. This was named after a close friend of mine, and it's her invention. So good.
It is so good. We have enjoyed it so many times.
Deceptively simple. Because when you're putting it together, you're like, really? That's it? But yet super flavorful.
And when you're putting it together, you say, really? Pickles?
That's true.
But it's true, and you should put them in. Don't skip that. Actually, put extra in. I always put extra in.
I did get my pickles on sale as well, and like I was saying earlier, the bacon was on sale. So this recipe, I'm gonna give you the price breakdown now so I don't forget to do it afterwards. Cathy's Lazy Rouladen came out to $6.07 for 4 servings, which is $1.52 a serving.
That is so awesome.
That's less expensive than like a cup of coffee at a Tim Hortons.
Yeah, not even like a Starbucks where it's...
Yeah.
Cathy would be very proud of us.
So into your large freezer bag, you're going to add your cooked and cooled ground beef, some minced onion, some bacon that is cooked and crumbled, those diced dill pickles, which, as we were saying, is a bit odd, but
very important to this recipe.
Is what makes the meal. And then you're going to get all the air that you can out of the bag, and then you're going to get that in your freezer. On the day you go to make this, then you're going to just thaw it and cook this in a skillet. You can also make some gravy either from scratch or from a packet, And then you can mix the gravy into here. This is best served with potatoes, mashed potatoes, roasted potatoes, baked potato, whatever kind of potatoes you want. This goes best with potatoes.
Yeah, it really, really does. And it's so delicious. This next recipe is chili casserole, which I think is going to be very frugal because it's for 6 servings. Now, in the scale of things, like maybe, what would we call it? Like a frugal index? It would be high. It would be high on the frugal index.
And it's an all-in-one meal, which is really nice too.
Really extra frugal, which we love. So to make our chili casserole, we are going to start out with our ground beef into our large freezer bag. We're going to add in our minced onion, our diced tomatoes, minced garlic from a jar, a can of green chilies, quite a bit of water, some chili powder, and some salt and pepper. Now you're going to mix that all around, get out your excess air, and you're going to seal it up. In a medium-sized bag, like in a quart-sized bag, you're going to add a cup of raw rice right in there. You're going to seal that up and staple it to your other bag so that on the day of cooking, you will be able to add your rice to your casserole. If you are confident that you are going to have long grain rice on the day that you go to cook this, because I know you're out there, you go ahead and leave that step out. That is totally okay. But if you think you might use your rice up and then want to go make this and be like, I don't have any rice, then just staple the rice and then you have it. That's all you have to do.
One of the beautiful things about freezer meals is that you can go to the grocery store a lot less often, which also cuts down on the expenses a ton.
Yes.
Because you're not getting those like impulse purchases. You're not spending the gas to get there.
We're rural, so to go to the grocery store for 1 or 2 things is actually a huge waste of resources. So this is way better. Staple the rice, have the rice with it, and then it's done. Then it's done, right? So on the day of cooking, you're going to thaw it, you're going to stir your rice right in there. That's why we needed all that moisture from the water. You're going to cover it, put it in your oven and cook it for 1 hour at 375. Now at our house, we would sprinkle a bit of shredded cheese on there and maybe add in some corn. That is an optional thing.
Now at our house, we would sprinkle cheese on half of that.
Oh yeah.
Because half of the kids that we have still living at home are lactose intolerant.
That is a great way to do it.
So we always adapt recipes to factor that in. And actually last night we had the 1-pot chicken and mushroom pasta.
Oh my goodness.
Incidentally, it's amazing.
Yeah.
My family, 2 of my sons were fighting over who got to take the leftovers for lunch today, but joke's on them, there were no leftovers.
That is funny.
Anyway, when we had that, when you make that, you staple a bag of Parmesan cheese so that you can add the Parmesan cheese in at the very end of cooking. In our house, that bag of Parmesan cheese goes on the island, and then those of us that can eat cheese can add lots of it.
Right.
Into ours.
Because only half of you are having it anyway.
Exactly. So that's kind of how we adapt things for the lactose-free people in our lives.
That's clever. No, that works really well. And that is the beauty of freezer meals too, is that you can make it work for you.
Yeah, and I think for that one with the corn, like if you have a can of corn in your pantry or you have corn already in your freezer, then it's not going to add to the price of it, but it is going to bulk it up and potentially add more servings.
It really would. And even though this serves 6, this is a hearty 6. Like there are times that we would definitely have leftovers of this one for sure. So what is the frugal index on this one?
Well, at first, it sounds like it's one of our more expensive recipes because it is $8.05. However,
shocking.
When you factor in that there are 6 servings, per serving, it works out to, drum roll please, $1.34 a serving.
That's so awesome.
So this is a full meal. Like, it's even got your rice in there.
Yeah,
it's
it totally
full
does.
Meal. And vegetables. And meat. And $1.34 per person.
That is pretty incredible. That is pretty incredible. I am so glad we're doing this video today because people out there are like, grocery prices are crippling right now. And if you can catch sales, there are ways to stretch your dollar. And we are all about stretching your dollar in our own lives. We want to show you how to do it in your life too. This next recipe is beef taquitos, which is a great one for snacks. You could do it for mains if you needed to, but it's just nice to have in the house.
If you have teenagers, which both of us do, beef taquitos are kind of a bit of a lifesaver. Like,
they really are. They go in the oven, they go in the microwave, they go in the air fryer. Hoot for an air fryer. And it's delicious and it's just easy. We're gonna start out with a bowl, add our beef to it. Now, just for word to the wise, if you are using ground beef that has been cooked and cooled and you want 1 pound, that is 2 1/3 cups of ground beef, give or take. The math on ground beef is a little bit loose, but that is about what it is. If you have a little bit extra, it's okay. You know.
And so we always keep, when we're assembling a bunch of ground beef meals, we keep a 1 cup measuring scoop in the ground beef as we're putting this together, because then it saves you a step.
That's right. So we're going to add our ground beef to the bowl. We're going to sprinkle in some taco seasoning, some minced onion, and some cheese, and that is it. Mix it around really well. Make sure that taco seasoning gets on everything. And then we're going to take large flour tortillas, add the ground beef just in a line right down the middle, fold it over and start rolling. Now, here is where you have to really pay attention, is to put these individually on a parchment paper, on a sheet pan, and then freeze them individually. Because if you freeze them all together, they will stick together. So you freeze them really well, pull them out, and then add them to your freezer bag. Take as much air as you can out. It's a little bit tough because, you know, they're lumpy, but you seal it up, get it back into your freezer, and then the day that you go to cook it, you can cook these from frozen. You can take 1 or 2 or 3 out depending on the hunger factor of your teenager, and you can dip it in hot sauce, you can dip it in salsa, you can do whatever.
My kids like the Thai sweet chili sauce.
Oh, that would be good. Mm-hmm. That would be so good. So these are a total lifesaver if you have teenagers in the house. Now, they cannot be more than, they're not more than the chili casserole.
So these work out to $4.74.
Okay.
That's for 8 of them, and I'm assuming that you're gonna have 2 at a serving, so 4 servings, which is $1.18 per serving. So that's for 2 of them. So you're getting 2 taquitos,
right,
with beef in them for $1.18. Now, you know those smaller taquitos that you can get at the convenience stores? Like, those are not gonna be less than that.
They are not $1.18. I will tell you that much. For 2 of them. No.
And you know everything that's in this.
That's wild. I love this so much. This is so fun. What's next?
Okay. Next, we're making the cheeseburger sliders. Now, this was like a stealth winner for our last mega session, because a whole bunch of people, both in our club and our Facebook group, the links for both of those things are in the description of this video below, but people in both of those places have started making these cheeseburger sliders already. Just from the video, and they are sharing pictures and reporting back that their families are loving this, and this is like a new favorite. And it was one of those ones where we were like, oh yeah, like sounds good.
Yeah.
But we weren't jumping over the moon.
It wasn't like the Monte Cristo sliders or the Reuben sliders where we were really excited to try this. It's so funny.
Well, and for that mega session, we had made, like, you know, shrimp saganaki and like all these fancy things. And maybe the simplicity of this is why it's been so popular.
Maybe. And I had actually served it to my daughter and her daughter. They were at my house on the first day of that mega session, and I'm like, I didn't take out a freezer meal this morning. I have to feed them something. So I just put it right in the oven. Total winner. And they were so excited about it. So we knew it was going to be a hit right off the bat, but we did not expect it to blow up the way it did.
So you can see that in that mega session video, or I'm going to pop a link right up there, because we have a sliders video. 7 slider recipes, the best of our slider recipes. And you can find that in that video as well. Like, if you're just a slider person.
Right? And if the Monte Cristo sliders piqued your interest, or you never ever thought in your life that a Reuben slider would be a thing, it's a thing now because we made it.
So go check that out. And if you're going to be buying your buns for the sliders, the best place we have found is to get those at Costco, because you can get a pack of 2 dozen that come together, and those are brioche buns, so they're delicious. And that pack of 2 is less than $6, so less than $3. And that's where we live, so they might even be less expensive other places. But that's less than $3 for your dozen buns, for good buns. I know you can get other buns that are maybe not as good, but you know, so trust us on that. But if you're gonna make that, then you've got 2, so you could either double this cheeseburger sliders, which is a good use of your time and great, and we totally recommend that, or you could go check out the slider video, pick another one like the pizza sliders
or just the humble
cheese.
ham and cheese. So good. The sauce we put on it, you have to go check out the video.
Totally. So you could also do that just to change things up. So for these cheeseburger sliders, you're gonna, like I said, go to Costco. I'm sorry for the extra trip, but go to Costco and get those buns. Or you can just use whatever dinner rolls or Hawaiian rolls you can find on sale. Then you are going to mix together in a bowl your ground beef that is cooked and cooled, some minced garlic, minced onion, Worcestershire sauce, salt, and pepper. You're going to cut those buns right down the center lengthwise. You're gonna set the bottom of the buns down in a foil tray. You're gonna mix together some mayo, ketchup, and mustard in a small bowl. You spread both sides of your buns with that mayo, ketchup, mustard mixture. Then you're going to sprinkle some cheese all over the bottom half of the buns. Then you're gonna spoon your meat mixture evenly on top of the cheese. And then you're going to put a layer of sliced pickles, unless your family hates pickles, and then you can skip that. But again, we got pickles on sale. You might as well use the ones we have left over from Cathy's Lazy Rouladen. Then you're gonna sprinkle the rest of your cheese, replace the top lid of your buns. You're gonna brush the top with melted butter and sprinkle with everything bagel seasoning. We make our own and it's delicious. Then you're gonna top that with some foil and get it in your freezer. On the day you go to bake this, couldn't be easier, you thaw it. You throw that whole tray into your oven covered for 10 to 15 minutes. Your cheese will get ooey gooey. Now we do like to uncover ours towards the end because Christy likes it when they get...
I like it when they get a little bit crispy. That is a really nice feature of uncovering the pan.
Right, and when you've got that butter on top, that happens. So there you go, your cheeseburger sliders. And with these sliders, you can actually pull them apart because you don't have sliced meat. You've got, you know, so it's even easier. These are great. Some people in the Facebook group have been saying they've been making them for Super Bowl parties.
Yes, that's right.
So great for that, or for hockey parties.
Or a picnic, or a hockey party. We're in Canada, go Oilers.
And so you've got your kids' birthday parties, whatever. We love serving sliders to groups. And you've got a group of people. You've got, or you're going somewhere where you have to bring something. It says conservatively feeds at least 6. This is $9.23 because it does have some more expensive things in it, but that's $1.50 for a serving.
That's pretty good. And to take that to a Super Bowl party, I mean, you don't have to announce at the Super Bowl party that this is $1.54 per serving.
Totally. I love that all of these recipes are pretty much full meals.
Yeah.
And so inexpensive.
Now, everybody has probably had sloppy joes at some point in their life. We all know that it is a frugal meal. It's obvious because, you know, you could get the Manwich can and add it to your ground beef and make that, but these are better, I promise, because we're making them from scratch. They are better. And again, inexpensive, but filling, warm, delicious, kid-friendly, And you know, they're just really, really good. So we are going to start out with our ground beef. In our bag, we're going to add in some minced onion, some minced garlic, some minced green pepper, some salt and pepper, dry mustard, some chili sauce, some canned tomato sauce, a little bit of ketchup and brown sugar, a little bit of Worcestershire sauce, and some lemon juice for some zip. We're going to mix those around in the bag because we didn't want to do extra dishes here. We are not doing this in a bowl. We are going to get the excess air out and we're going to seal it up and freeze it. On the day of cooking, you're going to thaw this. This is going to be so fast in your skillet. Everything's already cooked. You just need those onions to be like a little bit tender. And then onto your split hamburger buns, or you can do it in the slow cooker. And that is a nice one too, because then you can set it and forget it and come back later and have your meal.
And this one is $7.54 for 6 servings.
Okay.
Which is $1.26 a serving.
That's kind of like right in there. This is so nice.
Good.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, yes, you are going to have to buy buns with this. Even once you factor in your buns, if you can get buns on sale, or if you've got those buns from the other half of your sliders or
you
whatever,
could totally use those.
Right? Then you can freeze buns. Now, it's not really our recommendation to freeze buns. Like,
I do it all the time. You have to. I have to. I will sometimes break the pack apart and put them into a different freezer bag so that it's a little heavier to help with the freezer burn, because bread doesn't last long in the freezer. But yeah, absolutely. It saved me. I had a sheet of buns that I was going to, you know, maybe make sliders with, or just dinner rolls that I was going to serve with dinner. And my niece came for supper and we had chicken parmesan, a freezer meal, of course. And I thought, oh, I always have garlic bread. And I opened my freezer and I had no garlic bread. What can I do? So I'm like, I made it like the sliders. I sliced it this way. I opened it up. I made garlic butter and spread it on. I sprinkled Parmesan cheese, closed it back up, and into the oven 20 minutes. And it was just like having garlic bread.
That would be delicious.
It was so good.
Perfect for the chicken parmesan.
Right?
Yes.
Right. And I had, you know, a table full. There were 6 of us. I had a table full of people, and it was so appreciated to have these beautiful garlic buns. Isn't that funny?
I have to take back what I said then and amend it. In our house, the freezer is where buns go to die, because I have only in the past just kept them in their original bag and thrown them in there.
Yeah.
But then,
if you know you're going to use them within the week because you've planned and today was your shopping day and you got the discount and they were on sale and you know that you're going to eat them 4 days later, go right ahead.
Yeah.
Carry on.
But yes, I can see how if you transfer them to a sturdier bag and get your air out and do all the things that we know to do, that you could make those buns last for longer. So I do need to amend my thing.
Yeah, I do it all the time. I have also been known to eat freezer burnt bread because that's what we had, and it wasn't great, but you just deal with it sometimes.
Yeah, you might have noticed neither Christy or I like to waste food.
Well, or I'll make bread pudding.
Right.
Do you remember when the first time I made you bread pudding and you're like, what is in this? It's so good. I'm like, oh, it's a bit of everything. There's hot dog buns in there. There's raisin bread that went to die. And it was all in there and it was just really good.
Your bread pudding is the only bread pudding I like.
Ha!
It's good.
It is pretty good. And had nothing to do with the rum sauce that I put on.
That helped. But that's one of the first desserts you ever made.
Yes. Well, and you're not a sweets person.
No.
And you're like, I don't really like sweets, but I'll try it to be polite. And you're like, this is good. I'm like, I know.
I know.
What is in this? And I'm like, let me tell you. I probably shouldn't have, but you took it like a champ.
Okay, so now that we have learned that you can, in fact, freeze buns. Oops.
Oh, you can. You can freeze it all. You can't freeze it all. Hey, we have a really great cheat sheet of what freezes well and what doesn't. We'll put a link below for that guide too. Or you can find it on freezermeals101.com.
Thank you so much for joining us today. As you can see, we've had a lot of fun. We always have more fun when you're here with us. We love hearing about how it's going for you guys, and when you make our recipes and they go well for you, like the cheeseburger sliders, or so many that we've been hearing actually from that mega session. So keep letting us know, because that really does fuel us to keep going and keep sharing this with you. We're gonna pop that video there for the big mega session,
Yes,
because it really is a lot of fun. And I hope that you can find a sale on ground beef, pop into the club, see what recipes you might want to make with that, and be able to feed your family for a week for under $50.
absolutely.
Happy cooking.
Bye.